So good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to the WGL EU Season 5 Match Week 3. We're into the Playday 2. So, some brilliant games coming up for you today. I am Lauren Panty-Scott, your host for this evening, and of course, I'm joined by the ever-lovely Oliver Maxwood. How are you feeling about today's games?
Feeling very good, feeling very good. Got a few interesting matches to have a look at, so yeah, pretty excited. Yeah,
good games all around today, and before we get too far into that, there's obviously another beautiful lady on the desk, not just Ollie. How are we doing, Melly?
Well, yes, I'm feeling good. I can't wait for tonight's matches, and yeah, let's see what today brings. And well, doesn't matter what we think. It's the one that matters are you guys. So head over to our social media platforms to interact with us, to tell us what's on your minds, to get involved, to take part in our little challenges and giveaways, and also, of course, be active on Twitter. It may give you a bonus code. So just head over, for example, to facebook.com/WGLEU and a team vote. There is a team vote where you can simply vote for your teams and then predict the exact scoreline of this very matchup in a little text field below. And by doing so and by handing in your vote, you may get lucky and win one of 5 bonus codes if you, of course, guess right and if you guess early enough. The vote will be running throughout the first map and throughout the break after the map. And but keep in mind, the earlier you vote, the earlier you predict, the more chances for winning this bonus code you have. And of course, get involved via Twitter. Just head over to twitter.com/WGLEU. Follow us, of course, and then tweet us by simply using the hashtag WGLEU. And of course, follow this Twitch channel. It's really important because you will get a notification email as soon as we're going live. And if you're on the Twitch TV page already, you get a little pop-up that says, "Way, WGLEU is live, join us," and then you won't miss any second of our awesome show. And of course, if you want to rewatch the VODs from last match days, just head over to youtube.com/WGLEU. Follow us there as well, of course, to get notified as soon as we upload new VODs, which usually happens right after the match day itself, like the next day after. And of course, rewatch like how we used to play in the former seasons and how the first match days with the new format have gone so far. And of course, rewatch recap videos and highlight videos from our former events, and of course the events themselves. So follow us on those platforms, and I promise you won't miss anything from now then.
Well, that sounds pretty darn good. The parameters have been set for you guys to get involved with us here in the studios, and obviously on Twitch TV, Twitter, Facebook, all of that good stuff. But just in case maybe you missed that previous Playday where the upsets truly did happen, we have a video to catch you guys up to speed. Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to the WGL EU Season 5 Match Week 3. Cheeky little shot from Dead Hunter, but wow, he just got wrecked in 2 shots. This is a dangerous play, as you said, and they're trying to push over, and it looks like they are. They've already taken down 2. Trackers is out, Rube is down, and look at Road. He's down to a 1 shot. He's going to be removed from the battlefield. Manza under pressure, but there's the reply coming in. Shalish and Armley go down, and this is a very aggressive play from Schoolbus. LD next is not going too well for him. He goes down, and now 3 remain for Kazna. A lot of HP, but still, look at that. Ron and Griffin around the backside. Vetso can't stay in this position. He gets forced out, pushed down. And actually, Kazna, it's falling apart for them. Elian did great damage, but just not enough.
See if the 2 playmakers can actually do this for their team. Rasta does get caught out there. Track International's going to try and take him down.
Yeah, Rusta's got 1 more shell to make, and he is going to be removed. 2 seconds left, 1 second each, not going to get it. Kazna losing out on the first one. GGL played, picking up. But now here's the counter push. 2v1. Rusta needs to get the damage done pretty fast. International pops out. Phoenix comes in, and this could be over for GGL play. This could be going all the way, and there we go. International 1v1. Alien, 2 shots to make. He's surely not going to miss this. This International dances round, not going to happen. Alien claims it, and Kazna keep hope alive.
That was sexy stuff from Alien and Rust, I have to say it.
Get him down, but now it's all on Suxika. If he can run, if he can hide, he might have a chance in this, but I'm not sure. That cap is going to be vacated.
He's going to be able to do it.
He might make way. Yizny needs reload right about now. This is going to be damn close. Suxika might get away with this. Let's wait and see. The Ices are on their way. Zika making shots. Purple Shift will be coming around that corner any second now. 5 seconds left for a shot to land. They've got, oh, he's down to a one shot now, done! Finally goes down, TCM just picking that up.
The lack of HP, the lack of his presence in the fight really did make the difference for DTQ.
TCM now just need to find Panzer Hunter. He's still giving it some. He's gonna challenge Yizny down, go for the ram, go out in style, why not?
Wow.
Don't know how this one's gonna go, but
wow.
Why not? Yizny, please. Yizny, really? There we go, well done.
Sure
finally, buddy. There we have it. TCM picking up the win. Nice little reminder, maybe not for Kazna crew though. Those guys are going to be kind of thinking about that playday for a while, I can imagine. Bit of an upset there.
Yeah, they got absolutely destroyed in that match. I mean, 5-1 for a team like Kazna crew is not a scoreline I think anyone would have expected at the beginning of the season. And honestly, they haven't like such a strong team. We kind of said, okay, they would be good this season because of the changes they made, but not looking so good.
No, they've not quite shown, all of that talent kind of coming together just yet. But maybe that's going to be the awakening call they need. And let's see how that's affected the rankings so far into the season, as it is going to be starting to take shape around this point. As you can see, Kazna really struggling at the moment, but up at the top, there's some surprises. Utopia still sitting quite pretty. Yeah,
Utopia, they've only played 2 games and they're still in third. That's just their 2 back-to-back wins, 5-0, 5-1. School Bus doing very well as well, 3 convincing wins. Haven't really been tested yet, of course. We want to see how they play in the coming few match days. Of course, they'll be facing some stronger teams. They have faced already Kazna, but they can also be challenged. GG well played. They had 1 tiebreaker win. That's why they're sitting down in second. That was the Virtus.Pro. But, some teams have played 3 matches. Some teams have played 2 matches. So it's quite hard to really draw any conclusions about this. But we can kind of see where those top teams are starting to form and how the ranking's starting to form into the season.
Yeah, and the question about Utopia will probably be answered today, as they're going to be facing one of the harder opponents, let's put it that way, one of the toughest, even if it may not be reflected in the rankings thus far. Virtus.Pro coming up. That's their first game of the day. Now, Utopia have picked up some very solid wins, barely dropping any maps or rounds for that matter, looking extraordinarily good. But Virtus.Pro have dropped occasional rounds. They have dropped occasional matches. Well, maps, should I say, not matches. But they still look good as Virtus.Pro. They still look solid. But is there going to be a contender there?
Well, Virtus.Pro lost a couple of rounds to WSD Gaming, and we saw WSD get absolutely trounced in their previous match day to Kazna. And it's quite hard to draw conclusions, again, between those matches. But, yeah, I think my predicted scoreline in this for this one is 3-5 to Virtus.Pro, but I think there'll be some really close games there. Dream Leprechauns, Wusa, the Finns versus the Germans. I think Wusa have been showing class. They've got a couple of wins in the bag already. So I think for me it's going to be them, whilst Dream Leprechauns have struggled for sure. Evil Panda Squad, WSD Gaming. Evil Panda Squad have been pretty good, also a tiebreaker win and a win and a loss, but still they can show potential in the season. They haven't really had enough time to grow into it, whilst WSD kind of fell off their last match day quite badly.
Yeah, struggling, considering I thought at the start WSD Gaming might be a bit of a contender towards the top. Not quite coming to the forefront just yet, but Utopia is surprising all of us, and they, as we said, will be facing Virtus.Pro. So let us know your thoughts on Twitter about that matchup as well, because it's going to be a tough one. Utopia, hard to predict, a little bit out there, a little bit new, a little bit fresh, whereas Virtus.Pro, your old guard, still playing quite the old school style, not fully coming over to that new style of play just yet on occasion, but they're still holding their own. Who are your players to watch in this?
So for me, Poto Mako, he's a brilliant player. He's come over from Dinar. He's been pretty strong throughout every season. Also, Gervaz, old school player in World of Tanks. I think he's a nice guy to have in your corner for sure. And then my 2 players for Virtus.Pro have to be Delight and Bishop. Delight because I don't think he's ever really mentioned that much in games. He's kind of always there, but we never really talk about him. But I think he's got class. I think he's got experience. He's been around for a long time. He's played in a few different teams, the Reds back in the day. And I think he's a very solid AMX 5100 player. Look towards him on the city maps playing that tank. And then Bishop, I mentioned him a few times. He's been playing very well this season, and I honestly think that he stepped his game up after Rumble in the West, where he was a little bit disappointing. The Grand Final is a little bit disappointing. Season 4 is a little disappointing. This time in 754, looking better.
Yeah, a lot of players individually have had a bit more of a chance to shine recently, which is good to see. We're getting to learn some of the personalities behind that stone wall of Virtus.Pro almost sometimes, because those guys, they're so hard to understand because they are just this collected unit of players, very much introverted to their own group as well. You rarely see them amongst the others at these events. They are this kind of very singular form almost of one team. But still, it seems to work for them. Whatever works, fair enough. But I want to see them now really have a challenge. And I've got to say, I think Utopia might be able to provide that. If already Virtus.Pro have lost a couple of rounds here and there to opponents who arguably are weaker than Utopia, this could be a very close game. However, I've got to say, I think it's a little bit map dependent on these guys. Do we know the map pool coming up for today?
Yeah, we've got first map, which is defense towards Virtus.Pro, is going to be steps. So that'll be Virtus.Pro defending from the north and Utopia, the Polish team, attacking from the south. Okay. Second map is going to be cliff. This time Utopia attacking again from the south. So it's going to be a defense attack situation between these two teams. Of course, I think Virtus.Pro is going to be looking to up their mark on steps. You can also see that Virtus.Pro is kind of shunned out those city maps, Himmelsdorf and Ruhenberg. They really struggled on Himmelsdorf against WSD Gaming. Yeah, they were good last season, but it seems 754 has kind of shook them a little bit. They seem to get caught out here, there, and everywhere. So obviously teams have to start looking towards that if they want to exploit this match. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to see how this one comes down on the more open maps, leaving a bit of creativity between the teams, because Virtus.Pro used to be creative to a point. They were never the ones to push boundaries, but they'd always sit kind of on that line of, okay, well, they may pick up the new tank once it's proven. They may do this. It was never, okay, they're that creative side. They'd kind of win the more standardized way, which is brilliant tactics, good adaptation, having all the kind of boxes checked for a good side, just nothing outside of it. But Utopia have brought a bit of a different style to this. What do you think we might expect from that first kind of map from them?
Well, Utopia is a pretty clever team, and they train a lot. Kusok, the team captain of Virtus.Pro, said they're a team that is learning very quickly, they're adapting very quickly, they're trying new tactics, of an unprecedented pace apart from maybe School Bus. So, that's high praise from Kusok if everyone knows him. So we can expect
noobs by him.
Yeah, I mean, we can expect some good games here from Utopia for sure. I mean, of course, Utopia knows who Virtus.Pro are. They said in their pre-match statement that they're Virtus.Pro, one of the best teams not only in Europe but also in the world.
Yeah, they certainly are. Even if sometimes the results don't necessarily warrant that. If you look at the season finales, who's actually picked it up, Virtus.Pro still are one of the top teams that everyone's going to be gunning for. So if Virtus.Pro are going to have to retain that title, they have to knock Utopia off this bit of a hot run they've been on recently, constantly building into this. And as we now know, on the defensive side, it will be Virtus.Pro up in the north in red. And in the south, it will be Utopia in blue. Now, are we seeing anything different coming out from these guys? Has anyone adapted? Is there something to keep our eyes on?
Well, the GV Panther is becoming more of a mainstay on this map. We saw, for instance, Kazna Crew pick it up. It seems to work quite well. I mean, it's a tier 7 tank, so it can be pretty effective in its range, but also can, if you don't hit the shows, can struggle a little bit against some teams. But as the attacker, it's going to try and wear down, as the defender, it's going to try and wear down the attack from Utopia as much as possible. But then again, it's hard to hit those AMX 1390s, it's hard to hit those 251s, so it is quite a bold play from the Russians.
Yeah, and how do we feel about the player in the tank? Kusok picking up, good artillery player, someone we can depend on here?
Yeah, very good artillery player. He was, back in Red Aces, he was the mainstay artillery player. Then, when they got picked up by Virtus.Pro, he is also playing artillery there. He only had to change to heavy tanks, really, since artillery was no longer viable. So definitely one of the most experienced players in that tank. I think he's also the most comfortable in there. So yeah, definitely. Maybe even the reason why they're picking up, because he thinks he can perform, and he is one of their team captains.
Well, Arclit's shown that it can be done, so it's nice to see Virtus.Pro doing the same. They're really a team to push the boundaries, as said. So seeing them pick it up, they have a reason. There'll be something they have planning, that they want to keep that in utility. And what do we make of the rest of the tanks here for Virtus.Pro? Anything, you're liking, anything you don't like? What's this lineup looking like?
No, I think the rest of the tanks are pretty standard. I mean, you got the Bulldog, only one of them because Kusok's artillery. Mucker seems to have taken a chunk of damage. I'm pretty sure that was from Kusok, so Mucker's playing the T-54 lightweight, so we can expect a little bit of pressure from Utopia. I think in terms of just ingenuity and ability to perform tactics well, Virtus.Pro and Utopia are pretty similar. Where Virtus.Pro wins is their individual player skill, which will always outclass the Polish team, at least for now. So when it comes down to these brawls, they'll definitely win, and Kusok making his voice known.
Yeah, look at that already. 3 shots made, 2 hits, already hitting 1.2k damage. That is sensational stuff from that man. Already warranting picking that tank up or artillery up. Can we expect to see more of that going forward? Because he seems to be one of the prime players so far. Arclit's done well, but he's just kind of blown him out of the water already.
I wonder if Kusok is using that new artillery mod, which has been released in very recently, the winner of the Wargaming Developer Mod competition, or whatever it was called, because that does make artillery a lot easier to use, especially when they're in line of sight, and perhaps one of the reasons why Kusok is hitting those shells.
Well, keep that in mind. It's already done a lot of work, as you said. Muka going down and Breakneck soaking up these shells, nothing too bad there, but at the end of the day, the cap is still going. They will have to force a move out. And look at Delight, straight out in the open. Dangerous, risky play. Potomako is just over the ridge of this hill. Papa laying down some fire, but he's found a small area of cover, unless he gets peeked from the right, peeked from the left. Potomako moves in, and Potomako takes the shell. Not sure where from, but finally Delight goes down, only dealing 200 damage. Was that worth the commitment?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what he was trying to do there. I mean, we've seen players be in that position before. We've seen them trying to peek and get the spot onto the cap, but the thing is, Utopia knew that. They had Potomako in that position to deal with that exactly, and it will force a push from Virtus.
Look at the cap time, 3 seconds left. If they don't get a shot soon, that's going to be Utopia picking up the first round here. And I think they've done it.
They've done it.
Right under the noses of Virtus.Pro, with near on every tank still alive, including the artillery. Utopia pull out of a bit of a cheeky win. It seemed like it came out of nowhere. Suddenly all the tanks arrive in that circle. Cap goes fast, and thank you very much. That is the first round on the board for Utopia. Bit of an upset.
Yeah, big upset. Even with artillery, they didn't seem to be able to reset their cap. You saw Delight going forwards in the AMX 3090 trying to get a good position, but Utopia had Potomako to deal with him. Also, those tanks behind those building in the far right to deal with him. So yeah, Utopia had the perfect setup. They just put two Bulldogs there. No, it wasn't. It was, I think it was a 59-16 and a AMX 3090 just in front of each other, and just went for the cap. And Virtus.Pro just couldn't connect those shells. So yeah, congrats to them. Bit of a cheesy strategy, but a round on the board is a round on the board.
Yeah, you can't complain, considering Virtus.Pro themselves back in Ruinberg time, if you throw your mind back when it came to that deciding map, went for that cheesy aggressive push to kind of do something similar. It's almost, you know, a little bit of a bittersweet moment for them, I can imagine. But you've got to kind of keep in mind that Utopia must be feeling fantastic about that as well. That's going to put their confidence sky high to go, well, first round in, we're on the attacking side, or against Virtus.Pro, it doesn't look good. But then they pull out a win like that, that's going to put them on a huge platform now. Do you think they may be able to get a second round here? Yeah,
I think they've got a real possibility, but that was just Virtus.Pro kind of caught in the headlights. I mean, we've seen that tactic being used 100 times before already in the short season. And what every other team has done is basically, you know, where you spawn from in the south, the middle road, you go through it, and then you attack onto the cap. You just don't sit there. They relied on Kusok too much, and they got punished for it. I don't think they can play out again, because I think Kusok will hit those shells. In the artillery, he has one chance, and hopefully he makes it. So I think we could see Utopia try a different strategy this time around.
I'd love to see that. And I think you're quite correct. They didn't really respond at all, Virtus.Pro.
They waited for Kusok to make the shell.
Well, they waited a little too long, and I think we're almost underway into that second round, so we can start our minds thinking about it. And I can imagine the votes at home, if you put your money on towards Virtus.Pro, you're going to be thinking, maybe I should have adjusted that. But still, there is time. As Melly said, the votes will be stopped during the break around that marker, so do not fear just yet. You can still kind of have a think about your decisions, have a little look back at it. Maybe you didn't jump the gun too early, and maybe you're a fan of Utopia. Who knows? They're certainly going to be getting some fans out of this one if they keep that performance up. So already picking up the first round. They still have another attacking side to go on this map, and they're still facing Virtus.Pro. So a tough one coming up for them, but I've got to say, I think they can do it here. If they can adjust a little, keeping that pressure on Virtus.Pro, who knows what we're going to see. So in the south, again, it's Utopia on attack, and in the north, defending, it's Virtus.Pro.
Let's see what they can do this time around. Virtus.Pro could have changed their lineup, but they chose not to. Still going to stick with that GV Panther. Similar tactic come from Utopia. Potomako is just going to get straight into that position to counter the Delight, and the rest of Utopia going to head left. Virtus.Pro looked like they also started in a similar position, starting a similar situation. They probably just realized that they messed up, and it wasn't really the positional problem at the end of it. Although I do say, you know, Karitz being in that southern position the whole time and then flanking around might have been a better idea once Potomako has made that couple of shells against whoever decides to try and stop this cap. Now, let's see if Utopia decides to do the same thing. They have, well, second by second, pretty much copied their tactic they won on in the previous round, but they'll probably have to adapt. Virtus.Pro is a team that learns, they adapt, and they will punish you for doing the same thing twice.
Well, let's see if it works out. I'll be surprised if Utopia go for the full-in same strategy. I think that would be a complete error. But then again, it worked before. I don't know. Maybe they're going to try it and then have a backup plan, hopefully. Otherwise, it could go very badly wrong. But anyway, they are getting into quite similar positions. Down to near on the player, but a little bit slower on this one. Looking for those shots to come in. Probably just trying to avoid whatever Kusok's going to deliver soon enough. He's made his first shot, not going to connect on that one, but looking for a follow-up. As you said, it is quite actually hard to connect these shots until they start getting that cap underway. You can predict so much, but it's not going to be easy, and there comes the cap starting up. Potomako gets into position, and how is this one forming up so far?
Rinse and repeat. They've destroyed the tree to the left, and they're going to be sitting the cap. A little bit ingenious. This tree has been felled before just to get this cap underway. Yep. But it looks like Utopia is really exploiting it to its best. They got the 5916. Of course, they could have used an E25 as well, better camo value. But the 5916 is small enough, it's got good enough camo that you could just sit here, and Virtus.Pro really have to connect these shells. They're going to keep the pressure onto Breakneck, making sure that he can't shoot constantly and he can't reset, because he eventually will if he has the opportunity.
Yeah, 67 seconds. It's a long cap going here, but last time they did start stacking it out once it got to around the 30 marker, and it obviously speeds up a hell of a lot. And look at the damage that Virtus.Pro is starting to take here. Down a good couple of shells, Karit's taking one, Breakneck as well, and no one receiving any damage just yet from Utopia. And once again, we're seeing Delight starting to surge forward, this time a little bit more cautiously.
Yeah, he's not going to go so far. Those two MX 3090s are in a perfect position to actually deal with Delight and anything that comes from the middle. So Delight just getting away with the skin of his teeth. He is just going to YOLO in to try and stop this cap.
He's down to a one-shot. Someone needs to stop him before he gets to that cap, and that's what exactly just happened. They slowed him down well enough, but Papa did get spotted. He now needs to vacate that cap circle before he goes down very quickly, taking a shell from the back there, down pretty low. 107 HP. Not sure what on earth him, but it absolutely destroyed him. Breakneck coming in, doesn't connect with the damage, but slowing him down, but cover has been found. But still, how was that exchange overall?
That was a good exchange for Utopia. They didn't quite get the cap on, but they put the pressure. Virtus.Pro is taking a lot of damage.
Just Cause is out of position.
But Just Cause is on his own.
Just Cause making possibly an error here. Let's see if Virtus.Pro have a backup plan, because here comes the cavalry from Utopia, swarming around in 3 tanks coming in. They've got the cover of the railroad, and they know it. Just Cause goes down. That is a 2-for-0 exchange. Utopia losing nothing so far.
Yeah, they haven't lost very much, and Potomako is going to come onto Karit.
Well, Karit is going into the lion's den. They're still covering fire towards Potomako. Turret not turning well enough there, but the cover came in time. Potomako does eventually go down, but a 3-for-1. This is huge for Utopia.
Very, very good exchange for them indeed. They're just going to come off reload and probably go in for the final kill if they can. Virtus.Pro is still dangerous at this point. Mucka has taken a reasonable amount of damage, but the rest of his team is pretty healthy. Of course, the 5916 lost a lot in that capping exchange, but what Virtus.Pro has to do is they have to get that T32 into the game, and Pavel looks like he's going to peek and try and take down Mucka.
Yeah, Mucka is pretty low anyway. I think he knows that his game's nearing up, but he can at least keep their attention here and maybe get a couple of bits of damage on the way through, or just get taken out by Breakneck very quickly at this rate. And there we go, Breakneck will dispatch of him, but the cap is on. 10 seconds left. Last time they kind of fluffed this one, but it looks like they might have to do the job here. But Bishu and Papa still untouched in that cap circle. This is going to come down to the wire again if these guys don't hit the shot, but they do. Bishop and Breakneck saving the day there. Bishu is still in the cap, backs out. Doesn't fancy overextending, and is getting a little closer now for Utopia.
Yeah, this is back to even Stevens right now, and also McMoney's on his own, unsupported, and now it's Virtus.Pro time to do the damage.
Yeah, Just Cause got caught out earlier. They're trying to replicate towards McMoney. He was left out on his own. Not sure why he'd separate himself from the rest of the pack, but I think he knows he's near on done for in the situation. If he get a bit of damage, it might be a bonus, but I'll be surprised if Breakneck lets him get away, but he avoids the shell, and maybe he can get some damage. No, he goes down, but opens up for Bishu to get a couple of shots down those railroads. Breakneck, though, watching. And this is dangerous. You don't want to get into these skirmishes with the likes of Virtus.Pro. They will come out on top, and they are. And look at the damage come in already. This is worrying times. Kusok does go down to the roaming. 2 players left for Utopia. They're in a 2v3. I don't think they can get this one.
That was a big mistake by Bishu. He shouldn't have peeked. He shouldn't have gone for the shells. He should have got a couple and then gone back, because Kusok was easy shots for him on the side of that MX-3090. Surprised he didn't actually one-shot him. If Bishu was still alive on about 60-70% HP, this could be a different story, but Breakneck would have still been hard to take down.
Yeah, this is a tough situation now for the Utopia side. I think we know this one's not going to go too well, and 23 shots made, 11 hits, 1.3k damage. Not bad for Wheels, but not good enough. He goes down, and Shell Shocked is down to a one-shot, and this should be Virtus.Pro bringing it back even now, a 1-to-1. They'll do it, and there we go. Virtus.Pro regaining control of the match, but take me through the swings and roundabouts of that one, because it seemed to be initially Utopia had the advantage. They took down Just Cause. They did everything correctly to a point, and then it suddenly turned. What happened there?
Well, to be honest, I mean, the principle of Utopia's tactic outplayed Virtus.Pro completely. Virtus.Pro looked like a Silver Series, Bronze Series team in that round, to be honest.
I'm sure they'll enjoy that.
But, you know, well, it's the truth. They got kind of lucky then. I think where Utopia went wrong is the fact that they have some inexperienced players. They have an inexperienced team as a whole, and that kind of those loose bonds got broken. You know, it's like a hydrogen bomb. It got broken very easily, and they couldn't really do much about it. Once it did get broken, the MX-3090s were going around the map. They're going here, there, everywhere. Bishu YOLO'd in against 2 tanks and artillery, and Breakneck on the T-32 unnecessarily. He should have been with his team, and those 2 flanking tanks, the 2 light tanks, take down Kusok and then come from behind.
So just basic errors then from Utopia more than anything. Yeah. Which is a shame, because they were looking quite solid then for some time. But now they get onto the defensive side. Would you say that maybe they lose some of their edge because now they're just waiting to see what Virtus.Pro bring, whereas when they're on the attack, they can have that surprising element? Do you think they may lose some of that spark, or do you think the side bias might kick in their favor?
I think it might kick in their favor slightly. Virtus.Pro, okay. They're a team that classically likes to go for the brawls and go for the damage as opposed to going for the cap.
Yep.
And they really do try and do all the things they can possibly do to win. I mean, if they have to, they go for the cap. But they're a team of players that you know, in your random battles, even if the cap is the quickest and the easiest option to win the battle, they'll try and go for the kill on the tank on the other side of the map, which is fair enough. It's what most people do, but it's also a little bit of an Achilles heel, and I think that's where Utopia can exploit them. They can basically kite them around the map a little bit, and as long as they have enough HP to stay alive, it should be okay.
And I do believe the votes have come in, so we can start looking at that percentage of what you guys have been thinking it's going to be. And actually, I've got to say it, I think that's, you know, Utopia gaining some fan base there, because normally when Virtus.Pro play, when School Bus play, it's your 90%, it's your, you know, 98%. It's ridiculous. But 75 to 25, people are starting to warm up to these guys, and I can kind of see why. It's 1-1 so far, and that was the hardest side for Utopia. So maybe the people at home slowly picking up some of these new teams. Yeah,
and I think on Monday, at least, last play day, I think we had a few biased match results on this voting. So I think everyone's realizing that, you know, you just got to think about just the previous results and history as opposed to what you feel about the team and if you're a fan of it or not. You've got to, you know, give a fair assessment on who's actually going to win. I'm obviously very looking to seeing the match vote. Looking forward to seeing the match vote of EPS and WSD, because you know, EPS has got a lot of fans, and that can severely sway the match vote towards them, which might be fair against WSD. But here, I think it's more of a 30-70, 75-25 is fair as well towards Virtus.Pro when looking at the real hard facts of this matchup. Yeah,
I think that's quite a nice voting thing overall for Utopia. I don't think they could be too upset by them not winning out in the vote by the audience, but you know, getting 25% from the audience is a good vote of faith, to say, you know, the very least, against one of the top teams in the league. But let's kind of break down what we can maybe expect to see from Virtus.Pro on the attacking side now. A team who aren't necessarily known for the most ingenious strategies, but just the ones that work very well. How do you think they're going to play this out? Will we see artillery again? Probably not. What do you expect?
I think it's a possibility to see artillery, but honestly, I think for Virtus.Pro, when they're attacking, they just want to be as fast as possible. So I think we'll see a lot of light tanks, as much damage as possible, and a lot of exploitation in terms of the flanking maneuvers. Cap is a possibility for Virtus.Pro, but I said they like the damage. They might try and play Utopia at their own game with that tree fell and then the tank sitting behind it. I can already tell you that they picked up a Hellcat by Karitz, but it is Karitz playing that Hellcat, which immediately makes me think that it's not really going to be a big factor, because he's probably the weakest link, but he's also the team captain for them. Yeah,
and it's interesting to see the more players picking up these tanks that maybe not a tier 1 style kind of tank. It's not quite that extent. It can deal a little bit of damage here and there, but it's also not the linchpin in a lineup. So they're kind of giving them these kind of smaller elements to the overall plan, whereas he can then lead from kind of behind the screen, which is always a good idea for these teams, and see how they kind of come into this one. But if you were going to put a little bit of a bet down, where would you put your money?
Well, it's an interesting lineup. Just Cause has picked a T49. Okay. I think he's locked that one in. So whatever happens, I think Virtus.Pro is going to go for something unique, which is always dangerous, but they have the ability to pull it off. Also, Utopia's picked an artillery, the M44 instead of the GV Panther, which gives them the extra tier 8 because they've picked a tier 6, and it's a bit of a shake-up between those two. But yeah, I think Virtus.Pro has a good chance here. Obviously the teams are training attack a lot more than they are defense because of how hard it is. But I really want to see what Just Cause can do in that T49. Is Just Cause the playmaker for V-Pro, since for some reason Vorsik's no longer in the lineup in these matches. So I think a lot of flanking, a lot of firepower, and a lot of damage in fairly close confinements.
And that's kind of worrying for Utopia, considering how that second round went down when it came to that sort of stuff. Just the kind of leading within those team fights is definitely in favor of Virtus.Pro. They have that seasoned training, and when we come into the grand finals and such, there is always that kind of coordination or team fight ability or communication in those battles that is such a heavy factor. And it is because it's such a defining factor to some of these teams. Some teams have a great initial plan and they execute okay, but when it comes down to the kind of scrappier end of things, when you have to be able to communicate well and play as those smaller collective units, Virtus.Pro's, your school buses, Kazna before, obviously, the previous playday, used to be able to kind of be like those kind of top tier teams at being able to do that. And that's where maybe Utopia don't quite have that synergy yet with the very good players as well, because Virtus.Pro's individual talent is near on second to none. You could say School Bus is certainly up there with the new pickups coming in. They've got some great talent. But then would you say Utopia's even in the same region as Virtus.Pro as individuals alone?
I think it's really tricky because Utopia's won so many matches just based on their tactics as opposed to skill. But, they got some household names, McMoney, Bishu and Potomaka. Everyone knows them from, the likes of Evil Parent Squad and Dalal Esports. Bishu is supposedly one of the best players in Europe. So, yeah, they got individual talent, but it's not as deep as it is with Virtus.Pro.
Yeah. And it's the decisions they make in those kind of very important moments that can really define a player. And we saw it in that previous game where, one player gets called out from Virtus.Pro, but they immediately get the kill back. And it's these lovely little exchanges that do kind of prove to be such an important factor towards the late part of the games. But I do believe the players are just ready. They're just adjusting their tanks, making sure everything's working, everything's in the right place, talking through the tactics, and then we'll be starting to get towards the game. So if you are still slightly new to the format, they'll be basically switching sides. So Virtus.Pro now will be starting on attack. They have to either cap out or kill the enemy. And then, obviously, Utopia just has to avoid all of the above. Pretty simple stuff, and you're saying Virtus.Pro here?
I think it might be Virtus.Pro.
Okay. First round, I think I'll agree, and I think Utopia might bring it back on the second try, because they might need that little bit of adjustment time. But as you said, what do we need to be looking at here? Are the tanks kind of defining where they're going at the moment, or is this just Virtus.Pro's style of starting?
Well, as I said, the only interesting thing is Karitz playing that Hellcat, but we've seen the Hellcat being used a few times before. So it's not really a surprise on this map. It's more of a mainstay, I think. It does allow Just Cause to play that T49 for them because it's the 6 tier 8s and the 1 tier 6. Pretty much the same lineup Utopia's picked. They've also picked the tier 6 tier 8s and 1 tier 6, if I can get my numbers right. And that's maybe one of the first times we've actually seen that composition being used against each other, both as an attacker and as a defender. Now, I'm really looking forward to see how Papuayan can use... Papa's good enough. Papa in that M44 can use that tank. Kusok performed in the last rounds, a little bit misguided with some of his shots, but in general did a lot of damage, and that definitely helped his team out. So let's see if that that M44 can do similar job.
Now, Virtus.Pro then started out heading towards the east and they've swung west. Why would they go for that initial eastern peak?
Well, they expected Shellshock not to be in a bush and actually get spotted, so they wanted to get as much damage onto the MX-3090 or just a tank that feels comfortable and is roaming a little bit too far towards the south. They can pick him up, do some early damage, maybe even kill him, and then they can move on to the next round. But you can already see the blind shots coming out, probably towards the bushes from Utopia. Utopia at the moment, really no clue of where Virtus.Pro is. They're guessing that they're towards the left side. They are right. The MX-3090, of course, in K9, K8 area is still in that possibility. No spots coming out from both teams as Virtus.Pro start to look at that cap.
Yeah, both teams in the dark so far. Even with those shells coming in quite close, they, as you said, have no idea where each other are at present. But Karit's quite far forward. They are going to be crossing over that northern railroad line and maybe trying to get a little closer. Popple there, fairly out in the open, but not too far away from cover either. So they could easily adjust around. But what do we make of that 1390 hanging back in the south here, Delight? It's kind of where Potomako was previously. Is he doing a similar role?
Yeah, the MX-3090 is just to scout out. It's just to make sure there's no one pushing from that corner. It also gives them an extra dimension. You know, they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. They can flank. They can, you know, play around a little bit. You can also have a tank straight towards their base within 10 seconds if they need it. But I think, you know, for me, actually, I might have to change my vote because at the moment, Virtus.Pro looks very undecided. They're kind of making a couple of shots towards the T-32, which is not a great direction. Karit has got himself into that cap. I'm not sure for how long. So Shell's just glancing off the T-32 with no real response. Cap is underway, but Karit is still moving, which is not a great thing. Delight is in the middle, and you can already see that at the moment, Virtus.Pro wants to play Utopia at their own game.
Yeah, it looks very similar to it, and I'd love to see how Utopia kind of diffuse the situation, considering they should know the weaknesses to this play to an extent. They should be able to understand when they're playing it how to adjust around it and try and get that reply. So hopefully for one they find Karit. They didn't. Did they do the tree trick?
No,
not tree trick, but
well, the problem is if they do the tree trick now, they're going to get spotted.
Yeah.
The 5916 is such a quick tank that it could actually get into that position to knock down the tree in time to do the tree trick.
Well, curious to see if that maybe comes around. But 53 seconds, those shells are getting pretty close towards Kusok. And Utopia are going to have to start maybe considering sending a player forward, and we're seeing it again. I believe it's, I'm not sure who was doing this for Virtus.Pro. It was Delight, and now Delight's going to be meeting him on the forefront. But Money going to be the sacrificial lamb, quite possibly, but he might spot out Karit's it. At least he should do.
He's not spotted.
Oh, he's still just about spotted, but the Money's on fire. He's forced Karit's out there, but he's surely going to go down now. Not a great deal to do here. Does go down to Delight, but was that worth the exchange to spot out Karit's then?
Well, 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Karit's can basically just do the same thing again, not worry. But Delight actually, well, McMoney should have hit that last shell against Delight. Delight gets taken a little bit low by Shellshock. You can see the angles and the way these teams are training so hard. They know when a tank is there that they can counter it by having a tank from there. It's perfect stuff. So, you know, if a couple of more shells had landed from Utopia, maybe Delight would have been down or on 10% HP, which is a one-shot now. Virtus.Pro starting to accumulate Just Cause, Pavel, Breakneck, all in one location, going to push in.
Yeah, they're looking like they want to go here. Nice fire from Muka comes in from the backside, and Breakneck is taken very low here. Down to a mere whisker of health, but Just Cause and Pavel still sitting pretty, going in for the full charge. Gonna hold off, allow Karit to get that cap going, do what he can, as now Wilk will be on the front lines. He's surrounded, he can't do much in this situation. Not gonna turn, not gonna run, just gonna face the facts and go down. And it looks like maybe Virtus.Pro have just overwhelmed Utopia by numbers. Bishu, shell-shocked, just don't know what to do in this. And in that individual skill battle, it is Virtus.Pro coming out on top until Papa landed a shot and got a 2 for 3 exchange. Not great, but it might keep them in this one for a couple more seconds. But Bishop just about coming off a reload now, could start making some hurt towards Potomako, but Muka comes in again, 15 seconds on that cap. This is gonna be close.
Oh, the side shots are coming from Delight. Perfect stuff by Virtus.Pro, but Potomako does take him down. They might just have enough seconds to reload as they are spotted. The shot comes in, lands it, resets.
Nicely done from Potomako. He should maybe think about his options now. Still 3v3. Delight very low. Potomako waits for it, takes it, lands it. Nicely done again now. 3v2. Going to be heading in, maybe going to try and find Karitz on his own. He knows he has the advantage here, but Just Cause is still alive. You cannot write this man out. It's still a 2v2, but the HP is so drastically in their favor. But still, Just Cause now, last man standing. Papa might go down here unless he lands a bit of a stunner. And I think Just Cause knows how to handle him well, but doesn't land the shot perfectly. That time he will. 1v1 now. Potomako up against Just Cause. Just Cause 2 shells to make. Potomako still has them available. Just Cause down lower, 144 HP. Potomako 518. 20 seconds left. Just Cause needs to make the play here. He's on the attacking side. Utopia picked this one up. Potomako on the run. Just going to play to time. Just Cause knows that, and this is a near-on done deal.
Potomako would probably be able to solo Just Cause anyway. He has done a fantastic amount of damage, and the accuracy is impressive from him as well, picking up four frags at the end. Just Cause making a random shot to try and take this one down, but in the end, Utopia hang on.
And step by step, started out looking like it was Virtus.Pro's game. They made the push. They seemed to win it out to an extent, and then what kind of happened there? Because they made the push, they got down maybe 2 tanks, and it changed.
Yeah, I think it was. I think you could see Virtus.Pro's general communication fights was better, but there was a couple of problems. I'm not sure exactly who it was, but one of the AMX1390s pushed and got taken down by the artillery, which isn't necessary. They should have been together and taking down just the tanks they had available to them. I know they want to take down artillery, but in those kind of ranges, in the firefighting situations, it's pretty hard to hit them anyway. Second issue, I'm not sure exactly why. Breakneck was picking the T49 with the 320 damage gun. I think he should have picked the 710 one, just so he can go in and just basically land an absolute beast of a shot, just to take down those T32, for instance, as low as possible. But they got really close. Just in general, Utopia seemed to have trained that tactic more, seemed to be more polished, and they just had just about enough HP to actually hang on and kind of overbalance that against Virtus.Pro.
It did get quite close, though, a couple of times. Good couple of resets from Potomako coming in there. Experienced man to be taking those shots as well.
He did some insane shots like that. Karitz was sitting behind Delight, and Potomako hit him behind the wreck on the move. That's impressive stuff from him.
That's the player you want doing that sort of stuff as well. Out of most of them, he's probably one of the more experienced players, at least, up to date. The other players may have been playing just as long, but he's been in the WGL EU in some form for quite some time. So very experienced, landing those shots like a champion. And let's kind of take down what we thought of Utopia as well, because they played it quite standardly. They didn't play too out of the box. Did we like the artillery in there? How did it go for them overall?
Well, the artillery didn't do its job resetting, but it did a decent amount of damage. I think it was a worthwhile pickup, just because not only did it hit a few shells, but it also made Just Cause go for it at the end. He had to actually do that instead of taking down Potomako. So yeah, I think it was a worthwhile pickup. I'm not sure if it's any better than an M41 in some situations. The M41 could do 1.5k burst damage with that autoloader. So it's just a matter of personal opinion. You can never really tell what the other composition can do, but I think in general it was pretty good. Yeah, this time round they haven't picked it. Well, they have picked it. Papa's still going to be playing that one. And I think we'll see a similar kind of tactic. But Virtus.Pro, they have to take less damage at the beginning and maybe close Utopia down a little bit quicker.
Yeah, so taking it into the terms of what we've seen so far, this is a 2-1 lead for Utopia. Now, if they pick this up, going in at a 3-1 is massive to that second map. So they're definitely up for this. They're feeling good. You've got to be confident. But this looks like Virtus.Pro have sped up a little now. They previously went for that eastern play initially and then worked on the western side up north. However, this time, straight up north, looking like they have a plan here.
Yeah, Pavel heading over that train track. Going to be trying to get some spots out as early as possible. I think from Virtus.Pro, I wouldn't think an M44 would be a miss. Karitz was pretty useless in that Hellcat. Yeah, he did get a good amount of cap on, but the cap is useless unless it goes to 100%. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it can force some errors from the other team, but on this map, it's pretty much useless. So I think Karitz and M44 to break down Mucka, who was such a pain in that T32 before, just being hulled down the whole time wouldn't have been a bad thing at all. So maybe some lineup changes Virtus.Pro will have to consider for for their next matchups on this map. But I think it's just a matter of personal opinion again. Bishu receiving a lot more damage, and at the moment it looks like Virtus.Pro, they just want to wear Utopia enough so they can push him from the northern side. Yeah,
it's fairly even on damage for now. Maybe a little more against Virtus.Pro, but not by a substantial amount. It's still fairly equal. Still got 3 players, or tanks should say, up in the north over that railroad. Kurit in the cap, but he's already taken damage this time. Last time he sat pretty till the very end when Potomako put him down, and that artillery's getting a little close now. Smart play from Kurit, just backing into where that previous shell came through to, and assuming he won't make the same shot twice. But 78 seconds. When is the counter push going to begin from Utopia? When does it need to start being played?
I'm not sure Utopia will actually make a counter push. I think Utopia's really going to do the same thing again. They're just going to try and hide a little bit. And then maybe push out if they really have to. I honestly not sure how they're going to do this one, because Virtus.Pro have got a lot more tanks up north. You can see those trees, and the crowns of the trees provide camo, so they can consistently get shots out without being spotted. You can see Just Cause isn't spotted on the left side. The light bulb isn't up, so it's going to be hard for Utopia to make the counter push. Bishu's also taking a lot of damage. 40 seconds left on that clock, and McMoney is the one to do it.
Well, let's see what they've got going now. Utopia have taken a lot more damage. McMoney last time got destroyed by Delight in this position. The crossfire coming in from the 251s didn't help either, but he has to make a play for it. He has to go in on this, adjusting a little, but now peering up, he knows he's just trying to survive. If he can withstand it and just do that, not badly done. He makes it out alive at least, and there hasn't been a play to pick him up just yet. He forced Kurit out of the cap circle. Has he done his job better this time?
Well, remember last time Virtus.Pro did the same move, but it was 2 minutes and 40 seconds instead of 3 minutes and 40 seconds. So Virtus.Pro are at the moment a minute ahead and taking pretty similar damage. Kurit's got to be careful that McMoney doesn't come up again and get the spots out. Now the whole of Virtus.Pro is going to be looking towards McMoney. If they can take McMoney down, that would be a huge advantage for them, and they could possibly push in. Yes, they'll have to deal with 6 other tanks, but in general, an AMX 3090 going down is a big blow. And to be honest though, in general, Utopia was 10 times better at this tactic than Virtus.Pro has been.
Yeah, and look at the 251 in the south. Already coming around on the flank. Dangerous or worthwhile? Well,
if McMoney and that 251 can coordinate and get their pushes right, it's going to be very dangerous, because Virtus.Pro has to basically, you know, split up resources. They have to point some guns in one direction, they have to point some guns in another direction. That splits up firepower, that splits up focus and attention. It might even cause some tunnel visioning.
And let's bear in mind, previous round over, Virtus.Pro put a tank down in the south there, in the southeast by those kind of rocks, and left him there the whole time until the very end of the battle. However, this time they've gone all in towards the north, so maybe a nice read coming out from the Utopia side. Even if not, they're in the right place to maybe cause some real trouble here, depending on how this one plays out. But it looks like the tanks in the north might be making a bit of a push here, and Just Cause is joining them. They might head over that railroad, and if they do, this could be dangerous times. It looks like Breakneck is heading in. He's going to go straight across. He does have backup. Will probably go down again. He did fall last time, but Kurit may be completely unknown to that 251, but Potomako going around again. What a playmaker if he hits this one. Resetting this does the job. That is absolutely brilliant stuff. Now they just have to deal with the onslaught coming out from Virtus.Pro up in the north. Potomako's done his job again, but can the rest up to the plate? 4 players in this position. Potomako being hunted down by Just Cause connects onto the first. Delight behind him, but McMoney should be able to cover him off, and these two going back and forth. Bishu is lost, but still 1 minute and 28. Who's in the lead here?
I don't know. It's going back and forwards, both kind of receiving shells and going down, but Just Cause just about gets away with that one on such low HP. They got 2 tanks left. That's Utopia.
But look at this, Shellshocked is on the run. 1 minute and 14 left. We've got Papa still alive, and they're on the hunt for Virtus.Pro. They just want to get the kills. If Papa can actually hit anything, it'd be an absolute bonus. But I don't think he's going to be expecting too much here, as Papa now carrying on the back. He's going to go down pretty easily, and I don't think he'll actually landed 1 shell out of the entirety of that. But look at this, Just Cause coming around. Shellshocked doesn't have reload available yet. This is a dangerous situation for him. Just Cause might come off reload a little quicker, and Shellshocked is going to be trying to dodge these shells. He might get off reload first. Here we go. He needs to land a shell quickly. Gets it. He needs to move now. Kusok's in the rear view mirror. He knows he's going to be coming up. Shellshocked trying to move on. Just about avoids the shell. 32 seconds here. If he can stay alive, this is going to be a miracle. He's got shots to make, but Bishop comes in first. He gets the shot off first as well, and this could be game over. This should be 2-2. This should be surely all even, and it is Virtus.Pro saving it. Those final couple of seconds with those final points of health that they came down to, but that was close. And I kind of want to break down 2 different points here, because we saw almost 2 different sections of Utopia then. Mako making that individual play to stop the cap seemed to work very well. Money stayed alive for a while, he didn't go down. But then that northern push that came out from Virtus.Pro just seemed to completely throw off Utopia as they came over. Was that a lack of information, a lack of foresight there, or how did that go down?
Well, Virtus.Pro made a perfect push in the perfect time because Potomac was so far out. Just Cause could go in and McMoney went down, and then he could split up his attention towards Potomac. He's obviously in an MX-3090. He got very, very lucky. I mean, it was on such low HP. He was on like 10% HP, and that might have even given the win towards Utopia. But he did manage to take down Potomac, and then, you know, the rest was history. The Tier 6 artillery, if that was a combat tank, it would have been a lot better. The Papa didn't really do his job on that round that well. But I think the reason why Virtus.Pro won is because of that push in the north, because they did it at the perfect time, because Potomac was out of position. And I think in general, I was looking at Potomac on that minimap, I was seeing him kind of drive around very slowly, very leisurely, doing the kind of scenic route. And it just took him for too long to get into a good position. I mean, you can be very close to the enemy. We can be within 50 meters and not be spotted. He should have just been doing that the whole time. So
maybe a couple of errors coming out there, but overall, Utopia seemed close that time, though. It did seem to come down fairly close again. And at the start of the season, if I said to you, yeah, Utopia against Virtus.Pro, would you expect it to be, well, 2 apiece at this point? You'd probably say no. Well, most people would, at least, you know, for, you know. Yeah, I think the Oracle Ollie might know better, however. No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty surprised. I think Utopia are better than Virtus.Pro there. Simple as that. I mean, Virtus.Pro has better. They have more history, and as a team that is really that good, they shouldn't have been tested so much by Utopia. You know, I think at the end of the day, if I was Utopia, I wouldn't have stick to my guns. I wouldn't have taken that artillery in the last round. I would have picked a T-32 and then just gone with 2 Tier 7s, 2 Bulldogs or something. So you can flank around and stop that cap whenever you want. Because at the end of the day, Virtus.Pro, they exploited that artillery by just chucking combat tanks at it, which is when artillery is very hard to play, very hard to hit when you're in those real close situations. So teams just have to switch up their lineups. You know, one thing doesn't necessarily work twice. Yeah, don't be afraid to adapt. And for a new team like Utopia, that's certainly a big point. But obviously, you guys at home, your votes, I guess, on paper are keeping up to what you said. 25% with the underdog team isn't bad at all. And Melly, how are the people at home doing? Are they kind of getting the score lines close to how we're seeing it kind of get to?
Well, we're up to 26% now.
Yeah,
so let me quickly check how the exact scoreline predictions are going so far. And just give me a second, please. Well, it's kind of mixed. Some pretend something very close, and some pretend like a Virtus.Pro smash we used to see in the earlier days. But yes, people at home, you still have time to vote, and you can do it by simply heading over to facebook.com/WGLEU, and then, well, wait, I have an idea. Just let's do it together. So if we have a look on my computer. This could be
dangerous times. It looks like Breakneck is heading in. He's going to go straight
I'm sorry,
across.
I think that's okay.
I like
Back
hearing my voice.
to my computer.
Right,
it was the stream in the background. Sorry.
It sounds great.
My fault. Well, yeah. I still have to learn.
Streamception.
Exactly. So with a 5 minutes delay, we're still in game. So people at home are still voting for Virtus.Pro with seeing the last round. So we always have like kind of a 5 minutes lag in our voting results. So yeah, back to topic. That's the Facebook page, facebook.com/WGLEU. You of course have to like it, and then either you press the little button up here, or you go in one of the posts and click just the big team vote image. And either way, you get forwarded to the page where you have to vote for your favorite team. Then you choose either Utopia or Virtus.Pro in this matchup, of course. And then check this little box and then predict the scoreline for this matchup. You just have to guess. Keep in mind, it's kind of best of 5, right? And always, like, the first score goes for the team on the left, and the second score you enter is for the team on the right. It's always this way around. So if you maybe like Utopia more, then you vote for Utopia, but you want the bonus code. So you maybe predict like a win for Virtus.Pro, which is more obvious to happen on paper. And so you just vote for Utopia and then predict for the correct ending of the match, if you like so. So the voting for the teams is just to see the trend of the community, just to see how people are standing behind the teams, just to see the community favorites. And if you still predict the right score, like for the team that you haven't voted for, you can still win one of the bonus codes, which are 5 in total and contain the M22. So if you haven't voted yet, you still have time during the break. I will close the vote after break, so there's a bit more time left, 5 minutes, I guess. And if you don't have Facebook, don't be sad. Head over to Twitter and follow us there as well, of course, and use the hashtag WGLEU to get involved. Join the conversation by sharing your opinion, or if you have a question to our experts, just tweet it by using that very hashtag WGLEU, and to make sure that I can see that tweet and react to it, either by choosing it as one of the 5 tweets of the day, which will be rewarded after the match day and win a bonus code as well, or by forwarding your question to our experts. So those are the both ways of getting involved. Of course, don't forget to follow our Twitch channel, and of course follow our YouTube channel as well to stay updated on the VOD sites. So you will get notified as soon as we upload new VODs, and if you haven't watched the match day, you can rewatch it easily. And of course, we provide you with a live tweet via Twitter. So if you can't watch the stream, you have something better to do, which I really doubt because our show is awesome. You simply follow us on Twitter, and you won't miss anything happening on our servers. So we will be back after a short break. Don't go anywhere.
So welcome back to the WGLU Season 5, Match Week 3. We're into the second map of our first matchup between Virtus.Pro and Utopia. And I've got to say, the scoreline probably isn't quite what you'd expect. Currently tied at 2-2. This has turned out to be a very close one.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising that Utopia can put so much pressure onto Virtus.Pro. I mean, the kings of the WGLU for quite a while. Obviously being pushed back by School Bus recently, but generally considered the second best team behind Na'Vi in the whole world. So Utopia, a new team into Season 5. Extremely good stuff for them. Of course, you know, Steps is a map where you can kind of adapt, and it does favour Utopia a little bit. We'll have to see how they do on Cliff. I hope they have as many good tactics as they do for Steps as they do on Cliff.
I'm interested to see how this one goes, because Virtus.Pro, when initially Cliff came into the previous season, they seemed one of the teams very competent on it very early, along with School Bus. Most of the kind of CIS Russian teams have that kind of, you know, knowledge of Cliff a little more than the very, you know, European-based teams such as the Polish guys up against them. So initially you thought it would go be their kind of favour, but then we saw the meta kind of change, teams catch up. So I can't wait to see this one. I don't think we've seen Virtus.Pro on this map just yet, if I'm not mistaken. I may have seen it. I don't think I can remember one.
No,
though.
I don't think so.
No, so I'll be interested to see how this one goes down. It'll be the first real appearance, to my knowledge at least, of Virtus.Pro on this map in this season. Last time around, they were more than competent. However, I'm looking to see what they can bring this time.
I think we saw one tiebreaker round. We
Maybe.
saw one between Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know. No, I don't think so.
No.
No.
Who knows? If you know better than us, use that hashtag WGLEU. Get involved. That's it. Prove us wrong. Take our jobs. That's how you do it. But yeah, teams are getting themselves ready. We'll be getting underway into this one very shortly. And your prediction?
It's going to be a tough game. I think Utopia have shown that they're the better team right now. So for me, it's them.
Well, I think the teams are certainly ready. We can start getting ourselves looking towards this one as soon as possible. And I'm not too sure where I'd put my money if I was a betting person. I don't like to do my bets too early. But Melly, out there, if there are people wanting to maybe put, you know, a little bit of a prediction in, where can they go?
By simply heading over to facebook.com/WGLEU, where you will be linked to an app that counts your votes by simply pressing the little team vote button right above the timeline, and then, as said, getting forwarded to that very app where you can vote for your team and predict the exact scoreline for this very matchup in a little text field below. Then you just simply send the vote away and hope that you will get it right, and with a bit of luck you will get rewarded with one of 5 bonus codes at the end of this match. And of course, by a tweet as well, as Lauren already mentioned, just use the hashtag WGLEU.
Get involved, people. We want to hear from you. It's as simple as that. We love hearing from you guys here in the studio. It keeps me sane pretty much, otherwise I'm left talking to these two. And, well, you know. But yeah, tank-wise, what do you think we can expect from these two?
Well, we're just waiting for these two teams to ready up. We're seeing a double Bulldog from Utopia, double T69, T49, IS3 and 251. So quite a unique lineup for them altogether. The Russians Virtus.Pro, double Bulldog, double 251, AMX 3090, T49. So for them, it's more of a standard lineup. They got a couple of AMX 3090s, a couple of 251s, a bit of damage from that Bulldog. From the T49 and those Bulldogs, just to kind of pester. But I'm really interested to see how this lineup from Utopia is going to fare.
Well, it's going to be interesting to find out. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully the teams get themselves sorted out. Obviously, going into a new map, they want time to get adjusted and get themselves ready for this one. So looking forward to how this one goes down. Make sure those votes are locked in for this. The votes are slowly creeping up in favour of the Polish guys of Utopia. Typing away is our dear Melly, keeping you guys in line in Twitch chat.
She doesn't type quite quietly, does she?
No, it's an aggressive typing.
Yeah.
Gamer kind of type.
Exactly, it's a gamer kind of type. It's years of training in the making.
It's just turning a normal keyboard into a mechanical keyboard.
That's it. That's a talent. Anyway, we are into the game finally. Apologies for that. Virtus.Pro, you know, what can I say? Anyway, they will be in the north defending, it seems, on this one. And in the south, it will be Utopia. And how's this one panning out so far? What are we looking at here?
Well, Utopia's got an IS3, never seen before in this map before. and they got T69, so they got a very slow lineup altogether. I've not been a fan of the T69s at all. I think it's a pretty rubbish tank in 754 on this map. We'll have to see how it fares, of course, but Virtus.Pro will have the initial positional advantage for sure. I mean, you can already see those AMX 3090 quite far up. Breakneck's already spotting out. Breakneck this time is going to be sporting the 150mm as opposed to the 320 damage gun. A couple of shells, one does land into Papa, but no damage.
Yeah, and Karitsa with money, as you saw, and Virtus.Pro stabbing their authority on the map very early on, which is dangerous. We know that once teams get control of that hill, it is very hard for anyone to get back into it. And it looks like Virtus.Pro put a lot of attention towards it, but money out in the open though has been caught out here by Karit. He gets tagged up desperately down to below half HP. Bishop could finish this one off, but doesn't quite have the last shell available until right about now to deliver to money. He goes down very early on, and that is a huge mistake for Utopia.
Big blow. That's the slow tanks coming into effect. Shellshock Bishu heading forwards. The M41s have also snuck behind.
Yeah, the M41's getting up to the north. It's pretty damn impressive. Getting around the back of them, but it may leave a bit of an overmatch in that middle section. But look, here comes the push from Virtus.Pro. That's going to split their attention a little, but it's regarded as, well, near on pointless, as you can see that Utopia are falling like flies. Shellshock down, and Bishu, it's gone rather poorly for these boys, as Mooka in that T49 really hasn't had the opportunity to get into this one just yet. The Bulldogs are on the way around the backside, but is this too late?
It's a little bit too late. Just Cause is just going to hound down Papa in that IS-3. Breakneck is also going to come into the equation. Just Cause does finally finish him off, and now, well, Utopia only have 3 tanks alive.
Yeah, Utopia have 3 tanks left. Wheel, Potomako, and Mooka. Against 4, it's still possible, but certainly difficult in these situations. The Bulldogs not exactly the most phenomenal in these, but there we go, 3v3 now. Kusok is low. They avoid taking unnecessary damage, which sadly they didn't, and now here comes that kind of push together. I love seeing this from Virtus.Pro, hunting teams down. Breakneck is on reload for a while, but Bishop has shells available, goes in for the ram, possibly no. Needing that shell first on towards Wheelk, but Mooka still there as well.
Yeah, the 251 is such a fast tank, the M41 can't outmaneuver him. He has to try and play out for the reload, but doesn't manage to do it, gets taken down, and Mooka left in that 249.
Oh, he might be able to take down 2 tanks, possibly, but he's got a long way otherwise. But nice damage done. 2k overall, 3 hits, 3 shots made, 100% accuracy. And that may not be enough here. He does get spotted out, and 2 shells come immediately in towards him. Sadly enough, there's not much here to do, and I think he knows that one. Looking maybe for a couple of shots towards Breakneck or Kusok. If he gets it, he might have a chance.
Going to be a hard shell to make, because Kusok, playing the Bulldog, can just poke out and make the shells go back. Breakneck hitting a fantastic shell there, and it will be Mooka's time to try and run.
Yeah, Mooka on the run now. That angle was not providing anything. Shells from the back from Kusok. And finally, it'll come in from Breakneck, and Virtus.Pro picking up battle number 5. And looking a lot better in that one. It looked like Utopia did have a plan, they just didn't have the time to execute it.
Yeah, they got caught out a little bit. I mean, it was a pretty slow battle. The damage done is pretty interesting, though. I mean, Kusok did 2,067 damage in that Bulldog. Mucka did 2,015 damage in the T49. So doing 2,000 damage in a Bulldog is extremely impressive. So we can say Kusok carried the team for Virtus.Pro, but Mucka certainly kept Utopia in the game. You know, 3 shells, 2,015 damage, very impressive. If he hadn't hit those shells, it would have even been more of a landslide victory for Virtus.Pro, who basically exploited the slowness of Utopia's tanks. You know, that IS-3 the IS-3 was just in not the right position at all. He couldn't be in the game, and basically Virtus.Pro could close on the rest of the tanks without any problem. Yeah,
not a great start there from Utopia, sadly. And was it money they lost near on instantly? I'm not sure who it was anymore. My mind has gone blank, but you know, losing a tank near on at the very start, never an ideal way to see things go down.
Yeah, McMoney went down with 242 damage done.
Yeah, so not exactly ideal there from Utopia, but maybe they can adjust. And I still don't like the IS-3 in play like this. You know, still Mojo might be sitting there telling me otherwise, but I assure you, I'm still not a fan of it. I love the tank on your heavier, suited maps like your city maps, like your Himmelsdorf and such, but I just don't see it working on maps like Cliff just yet. Maybe someone can show me how it's meant to be played at some point, but really not seeing it come into its own here just yet. Have they adjusted?
It looks like they've ditched no, they haven't ditched the IS-3. I tell a lie.
Brave.
They've kept the same lineups. you know, obviously the teams can change between maps. What the teams do is send us their lineups. We say, okay, that's fine. But between each round, they can send the admin a new lineup, and they can switch it to that as long as the admin approves, which as long as it's 754, they should do, and there won't be any problems. But they've decided to pick the same one, perhaps thinking that their execution wasn't right, and they may be able to do a better job second time round. Virtus.Pro heading up the hill is very much they did the same time as last time, as Utopia does the same thing. The 251 heading left again, that's Protomac. Who is that? Bishu playing that one, I think. No, McMoney playing that one, so he's going to make sure that he doesn't get caught out, because I think if McMoney had stayed alive, it would have been a different story.
But he's gone to the same position, and this time there's 3 tanks heading that way, which may be even worse. He might have just found cover. He spots out 1, but he still takes a shell. I'm not sure if gathering this information was worth it, especially in that position.
Yeah, but he has got himself pretty safe right now. I think if Bishop and Delight want to engage, they basically have to try and go all in, but Papa has already taken a lot of damage in the IS-3. He's down to about 600 HP. That's a 1-shot for the T-49 and 2 or 3 shot for most of the other tanks. But he can still do some damage here. He's finally into a good position, and McMoney is going to still challenge Crete.
But look at the HP on McMoney. He made such an error. He was open on the complete western flank, and Crete knows that, just punishes him completely, and walks out with a kill. Nicely done, Crete. You just found a way in, and now Papa being so low, this could be the folding point. You can see round on that west side, Virtus.Pro starts strangling in Utopia. This could be the 4-2 that you could near on expect from the start, in a way, if Utopia weren't coming in with a plan, and Breakneck already doing fantastic damage in that T-49, up to 800 at present. But Muka goes in by himself. He gets 1 down, but it's not going to be enough in this. We've already got the Bulldogs around the backside, but they're going to have to really deal some damage here or get something back, because Shellshock is out on his own, and I think Breakneck is lining up the perfect shell to deliver. He does connect it, and now Shellshock down to nothing. Breakneck moving in here, gets tracked, doesn't matter. Shellshock down to a 1-shot. Karitz delivers it, and now Muka, Wilk, and Polomako left alive here against the entirety of Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, they've got 6 tanks left. Povel's gone down. Quite a lot of Virtus.Pros on fairly low HP. I mean, Breakneck and Just Cause, but they've got plenty of tanks still alive. Kusok dispatches of the team leader, Maka, and only Wicked left.
Polomako.
Potomako as well.
Goes down, and we'll sure to follow a Delight in the front, Bishop in the back, and Virtus.Pro with another round on the board. Utopia looking like they didn't have a single chance in that one, sadly. They've just been outclassed.
Yeah, that was... I just don't think that lineup worked. I mean, you could see where Utopia wanted to do. The IS-3 in the middle position is absolutely fantastic. But McMoney dying so early on, again, was basically the crux, you know. Him going down is a tier 8 out of the game, and it gives Virtus.Pro such an advantage. And then they can just play around the IS-3, you know, 638 HP left on an IS-3, trying to engage in the middle. It's just not enough. It's 35-40%, and it will allow those 251s, even with low penetration, just to constantly peak, make the shot, and go back again, and eventually it will go down. I think, you know, honestly, I don't see Virtus.Pro losing that game in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. What Utopia had to do is basically pick the exact mirror lineup to what Virtus.Pro had.
Yeah, Virtus.Pro, when it comes to things like that, are just so solid is the problem. They're just such a good team overall at times that when it comes down to those just reading the situation well engagements, it's going to be difficult. And I wouldn't be surprised if Virtus.Pro actually keep this map as quite the stronghold, because we very rarely see it coming down to actually utilizing the caps or anything in the new game mode almost. It kind of boils back down to the previous seasons of that engagement in the middle. And they're always good at that. They're always going to be good at that. They have so much seasonal experience that they can just kind of draw on that one, whether other teams, you know, wouldn't have played that a million times, won't have that knowledge of, you know, 3 to 4 previous seasons of it almost. You know, even if they only played it in, you know, training battles, they still have that experience there in the last season. So for me, Virtus.Pro on this map will always find a strong point, because it's still going to be very much back down to basic tanks in a way.
Exactly.
Whereas Utopia, they're going to need to find a way in somehow. Now they get to defend. I don't know if we're going to see the IS-3 again. I kind of hope not. It was pretty pointless. I don't see what sort of reasoning it would have to be there.
It's just a brute of a tank, and the IS-3 is kind of a jack of all trades. but you know, you play it for the fact that it's got HP armor and a big gun, but it's slow is its biggest weakness, and that's exactly what Virtus.Pro exploited. I mean, they didn't even look challenged on that second time around by the IS-3. It just wasn't a problem they had to deal with. Lineups have been locked in by both teams. Now this time, of course, as you mentioned, Utopia is going to be defending, so starting from the north on Cliff. Virtus.Pro is going to be switching to the south where they'll be attacking. So lineups obviously changed. M25, first time we've seen it in this league.
Okay.
You know, the replacement for the beloved T50-2 RIP coming into effect, tier 6, which means the 6 other tanks will be tier 8s, mixture of AMX 1390s and 251s. And from Virtus.Pro, much of the same. They picked as the defender, mixture of AMX 1390s, Bulldogs and 251s.
So, looking at it this way, it's a big scoreline now for Virtus.Pro. Utopia letting it slip on, well, 2 rounds in a row is pretty much devastating to anyone. But Virtus.Pro's attacking on the initial map wasn't sublime. It wasn't the best we've seen. But do you think they can just kind of bring this back down to what we expect? Because it's Cliff. We've kind of seen this one a million times, and they only play it like normal. How do you think they're going to fare, though, on the attacking side? Will there be any issues?
I think there's going to be issues for Virtus.Pro on the attacking side. They struggled on steps on the attacking side. I'm not being a fan of Virtus.Pro. Generally, when they play aggressively on Cliff, they can always struggle. But we'll have to see. Hopefully they've tuned everything up. I mean, the lineup they've picked is obviously indicative of what they want to do. They want to be fast, they want to be furious, they want to get a lot of damage in a small amount of time. They're not messing about with the T49, so it looks like they just want to go on the flank and really take down Utopia as quickly as possible and just play tanks which every player is comfortable in, which is very, very important when you're attacking. But honestly, I think Utopia should, if they haven't been demoralized, which it looks like they are slowly being, they should be able to take this one. Well,
it's going to be Utopia on defense, as we said, in the north, and Virtus.Pro on the attack. And the sound of the bell means it is time to go. Virtus.Pro are now pretty much on match point, going forward 4-2. They could near on claim this on this one if they do want to just go hell on aggressive, but at the moment, it just looks like Utopia taking their time, trying to set up. No aggressive moves at all from them. Maybe trying to force Virtus.Pro to play the full attack out, have to go for the caps, possibly.
Yeah, have to see. Karit's gone low. This time, you can see immediately that Virtus.Pro don't want to commit too much there. Only a tier 7. Karit has been spotted. Of course, it'll mean I'll have to get up there. I'm really curious to see what the M25 does in this game. I mean, it's kind of a weird tank to pick. It's fast, of course, one of the fastest tanks straight line, but it's big and it's chunky and it's nowhere near as good as the T50-2. It's also kind of slow to turn. Gun is very questionable.
So why would you pick it?
Well, it's a tier 6 light tank at the end of the day, and there's not a better tier 6 light tank really. 5916, of course, is good, but of course they think that the M25 is better in that situation, which is just basically covering the lower ground. It's a little bit more durable. You know, it's again a personal preference and what fits into the role on this map.
Well, it might work out for them. We'll see. Already initial damage, an opening shell coming from Virtus.Pro and finding its way to Utopia. Already Money taking a shell, but Bishop gets one back from Shell Shock, so it kind of equals out. But Virtus.Pro just finding their footing, trying to find their way in. And what do we make of this passive play from Utopia? Are they out of the game or just trying to force Virtus.Pro to make a move?
It's actually typical Cliff defensive play. What we've seen every single time. I mean, it was a bit of an exception to the rule where Virtus.Pro pushed in because they saw the IS-3, they saw how slow Utopia would be, so they didn't have to. But I think in general, if Utopia picked up a mirror lineup, this is what you'd see Virtus.Pro playing. You know, a lot of tanks behind the buildings far back. Kusok gets caught, tracked, and taken down low.
Kusok maybe being a little overzealous, not arrogant, but you know, egotistical peeking there can kind of get you screwed over, so you got to be careful. But look at this, already the split comes out. 3 or 4 tanks heading around that west side, and they could completely outdo Papa in a mere couple of seconds. If he gets caught here, he's going to go down very quickly. I think he's spotted out what's coming over that hill, and there is no way he's going to get out of here. He's got, you know, some good sustained damage, but I don't think it's going to really phase these guys much, and he knows that. He's trying to rack up those damaging shells, but merely makes 600 in the end and gets taken out very quickly.
The burst damage on that thing is absolutely insane, I have to say it. But the problem is that Kusok peaked too early and he got taken down low, which means he can't peak anymore, and it will allow Utopia to push in.
And this is a smart play, though. They're maybe sacrificing Bishop almost to get a cap going, and force them to have to make their minds up here. But question is, can the remaining players now, Virtus.Pro, actually pull this one off? They've forced Utopia into maybe a different position, and they still have the tanks up on the cap. But McMoney, smartly reading the situation, turns around and tries to help out, but Garitz was waiting. Polo Mako also splitting off on his own, trying to get around them, trying to get to that cap to reset it. McMoney just about makes it possibly into cover. He's still down to a one-shot. He's going to have to be a little cautious here, but Polo Mako also in the same idea. Muka joins him, but Polo Mako trying to take down one. Nice work there. He's just absolutely obliterating people today, but the cap is still on and finally gets halted, and maybe Virtus.Pro's idea kind of falling apart a bit here.
Yeah, they've lost 2 for 1 exchange at the moment. Delight is constantly spotted. Shellstruck only has 1 shell left to make before he has to get on the 33 seconds reload. Wicked trying to do some damage there. At the moment, Virtus.Pro a little bit down because they are on the lower ground at this point, but Povel in that 251 is in a great position to do damage onto Muka. And Karitz is still on that hill. He's going to be the playmaker. He's still got 10 shells left in that autoloader, 1.5k potential damage. He has to take down those low HP tanks from Utopia.
Well, Polo Mako has gone down, as is Muka, and it's these situations that look close and then Virtus.Pro just kick it up a gear and it kind of turns around. But Shellshock going for the challenge, not quite off reload just yet, which could be an error. But getting tracked there, Karitz lays down one. Shellshocked. Good few more to make. He can outdo Karitz here, but Karitz is such a damn good player in these 1v1s. It's going to be tough as the rest of his side trying to get into position. There'll be only other 2 left as Karitz looks like he just wants to finish the job off now. He's going to do just that, leaving Wilk and Bishu alive. And, well, at the moment it's just down to Bishu. 1v5 to save his team in this game. It looks like Virtus.Pro have done enough here. Just playing out to the end. Utopia looked lost for an answer as Bishu going in towards Delight. He might be able to pick this one up, but Delight denies. And Virtus.Pro pick it up and take it away. Got to say, then Utopia really looked like they kind of looked lost in that one overall. Didn't seem to have an idea. Virtus.Pro just leading them around the map. Yeah,
Virtus.Pro just played such standard tactics that they just outskilled them. They didn't have to rely on tactics so much. I think, you know, some teams have to remember that on 754, it's not so much about your tactics, it's about your individual play and your individual teamwork and your synergy. Yeah. And that's what Virtus.Pro will always win on. I have to say, on steps, Utopia were a better team than Virtus.Pro, and I think they should have gone into Cliff with a 3-1 scoreline. But, you know, as you can see on this push, Virtus.Pro just outclassed Utopia in many respects.
Yeah, Papa there had no chance in this one. The sustained damage is very impressive. The burst...
I forgot about that gun completely. You can see how much damage it's just pumping out. And Papa even screws it up, because with a gun like that, you basically want to engage as late as possible so you can hit the shells. He was making some like 150-meter shots with a gun which is just pumping out damage. He should have waited and perhaps even done 1,000 damage, 600, but it wouldn't have made that much difference, I don't think. You know, Karitz and Kusok on the hill were such instrumental pillars to Virtus.Pro that even when Karitz missed that last shell against Shellshocked, and Shellshocked did the same luckily, they still managed to win it.
That's the thing with Virtus.Pro. They're so hard to beat out on these situations. They can try and pull it around to their way, and you've got to completely just kind of blow them out of the water. Otherwise, they'll just always be in control. And we may see that in the upcoming weeks. Who knows? But for now, Virtus.Pro remain looking towards the top. Sadly, Utopia not quite matching up to them just yet, but certainly showing potential on that first map. If they came into the second with the same kind of fire they had, might have seen a different result. But regardless, Virtus.Pro walk away with the win. Utopia need to go back to that drawing board. But you guys at home did vote for Utopia in your numbers. But how did it end up, Melly?
Well, with a clear 74% for Virtus.Pro, and Sharp just tweeted Virtus.Pro will use their experience and they will win it again. And it's kind of true. It's a very experienced team. They have a lot of routine, and that's really hard to beat. So congratulations to Virtus.Pro, and congratulations to everyone that voted correct. And, of course, predicted the exact scoreline. You will be announced later on and win one of 5 bonus codes. 5 will be given out in total, and maybe you will be the lucky one. I will announce the winners in the comment section below the posting regarding the vote. And just have a look there. If not now, then tomorrow maybe. And you will win a bonus code. Congratulations. So people at home, head over to Twitter, tweet us how you like the match so far, how you like the new format, how you like the studio, how do you like us, for example. And of course, if you have questions, fire them right away on Twitter using the hashtag WGLEU. And of course, don't forget to follow the Twitch channel and our YouTube channel, where you can rewatch all the VODs from all the playdays you've missed. So we will be back after a break, and in the meantime, you can maybe check out YouTube. See you later.